All right, good afternoon. Apologies for the usual tardiness. I have a trip announcement. On Monday, the Secretary General will be in Lisbon to participate in Web Summit 2017, which brings together the leaders of key internet companies with officials from different governments. And you're aware of the attention the Secretary General has been devoting to the uses of the internet. His remarks at the Web Summit will be live streamed both on the summit's website and on the UN Web TV platform, I expect, and the Secretary General will be in the office on Tuesday. Tomorrow, the Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, and the Secretary General's Special Envoy for Haiti, Josette Chirin, will depart New York for Port-au-Prince, Haiti, to meet with high-level government officials and key stakeholders, to visit communities that have been the hardest hit by the cholera epidemic, as well as to visit government flagship development initiatives. After her visit to Haiti, Ms. Mohammed will be traveling to Washington. While there, she will meet with high-level government officials, U.S. government officials, and senior leadership at the World Bank. She will also speak at the Foreign Policy 2017 Diplomat of the Year dinner. The Deputy Secretary General will be back in New York on November 6th. And this morning, you will have seen the High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, brief the Security Council and presented the stark reality of the international community now faces, with major new crises causing massive displacement across virtually all regions. He noted that the number of forcibly displaced people worldwide is now approaching 66 million, up from 42 million in 2009. This includes over 17 million refugees under UNHCR's responsibility, a 70% increase in the last 8 years. He stressed that securing solutions for the millions of uprooted people and avoiding a repeat of the massive outflows that have taken place over recent years ultimately rest on political solutions. Mr. Grandi urged the Security Council to support measures to address the causes of conflict. He also spoke at the need to fight human trafficking and the sustained protection of displaced people while solutions to conflict are pursued. His remarks are available online, and he will expect him to be at the stakeout with Vincenzo Amendola, the Undersecretary of State for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Italy. And turning to Myanmar, a senior official from UNHCR, the Assistant High Commissioner for Protection, Volker Turk, has wrapped up a visit to Myanmar. In Naypyidaw, he met with government officials, urging them to allow unrestricted humanitarian access to communities in need and for the voluntary return of Rohingya refugees in safety and with dignity. Mr. Turk welcomed the government's renewed commitment to rapidly implementing the recommendations of the Advisory Commission of Rakhine State, which was chaired by the former Secretary General Kofi Annan. And turning to, also on Bangladesh, also on a related note rather, our colleagues at OCHA say the rate of Rohingya refugees entering Bangladesh from Myanmar has now slowed in recent days, though there are reports that several thousands are still believed to be waiting to cross the border. As of this past weekend, 607,000 refugees have arrived in Cox's Bazar since the 25th, roughly the equivalent of the entire urban population of Copenhagen, bringing the total number of Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh to well over 800,000. Authorities and aid workers continue to race to prevent a public health crisis due to overcrowding, unclean water, and poor sanitation in many camps through measures such as vaccination and the construction of emergency latrines. And from Syria, our humanitarian colleagues tell us that a joint UN Syrian Arab Red Crescent International Committee for the Red Cross convoy delivered food, nutrition, health, and education and other items for more than 92,000 people in TALBISEH in Homs and in TLUL ELHOMOR in Hama. The last time these two locations were reached with assistance was back in August. We continue to call for safe, unimpeded, and sustained access for close to 3 million people in hard-to-reach and besieged areas, including the facilitation of medical evacuation, in line with international humanitarian and international human rights law. And our colleagues in the UN mission in Iraq and the UN Human Rights Office, in a report issued today, have found Daesh perpetrated serious and systematic violations amounting to international crimes during the 9-month military campaign to liberate Mosul. The report, based on eyewitness testimonies and documents mass civilian abductions, the use of thousands of people as human shields, and the intentional shelling of homes and the indiscriminate targeting of civilians to leave Mosul. The High Commissioner for Human Rights said that during the course of the operations to retake Mosul, civilians were subject to shocking human rights abuses and clear violation of humanitarian law. The report calls on the international community, including the Security Council and the Human Rights Council, to take action to ensure that all those responsible for international crimes such as genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes are held accountable. And our colleagues in UNICEF in Afghanistan said today that 9,500 children die each year from diarrhea. This amounts to 26 diarrhea-related deaths every day across the country. UNICEF is calling on all districts in Afghanistan to adopt a community-led sanitation approach and for donors to support the movement to improve the lives and save lives for some of the most vulnerable children in the country. And our monthly food price index, for those of you who watch the food price index, the global food prices dipped in October with a decrease led by dairy products. That's according to the FAO price index. The dairy index declined 4.2% during the month, making the first drop since May. Vegetable oil, sugar, and meat also declined, while cereal edged up a notch, led by higher rice prices. FAO estimates point to a 1% expansion in world cereal utilization in the coming year, with world cereal stocks on course to set a new record level by the close of the 2018 harvest. And today is the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists. In his message for the day, the Secretary General said that when journalists are targeted, societies as a whole pay the price. Also, he reiterated the UN's commitment to help create the environment journalists need to perform their vital work, and said he's mobilizing a network of focal points throughout the UN system to propose specific steps to intensify our efforts to enhance the safety of journalists and media workers. Over the past 11 years, more than 900 journalists have been killed for doing their jobs. Only 1 in 10 cases committed against media workers over the past decade has led to a conviction. To mark the day, there'll be a panel discussion at 1 p.m., conference room 8, organized by UNESCO. And you can also follow the day on social media using hashtags #EndImpunity and JournoSafe. And I wanted to flag that our friends in the Department of Public Information, the News and Media Division, have recently launched an enhanced version of the UN News mobile app. The new version of the app is available in the 6 official languages and includes features like access to the latest UN news, activities, events, as well as videos, photos, and all the multimedia products. It's, of course, free of charge and available on Apple and Android devices. Lastly, Jane Connors, the Secretary General's first victim rights advocate, who recently traveled with us to the Central African Republic, will be here tomorrow to take your questions and speak to you. Sidreis.
Is there any update on the UN position regarding Sochi conference?
No, unfortunately, nothing new to share with you. We're obviously looking at the framework of the meeting, and as soon as we can give you something a little clearer, we will share that with you.
Did Mr. de Mistura receive an invitation at least?
I don't know if he's formally received an invitation, but I know he and his team are very much aware of the proposal for the meeting.
But no decision about attending this conference yet. I see.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you, Stephane. Refugees in Greece went on hunger strike, demanding reunification with their families in Germany. Do you have anything to say on that?
No, I know our colleagues at UNHCR and I think at UNICEF have expressed their concern about the situation of some of the refugees in the detention center. I know Greece, like many countries, European countries bordering the Mediterranean, have shown solidarity towards these refugees who've made extremely dangerous crossings. But it's important that they be treated within their rights and with the respect and dignity they deserve. Mr. Lee.
Sure. I wanted to ask about Haiti. I'd seen the Secretary General's piece in the Miami Herald, but I'm assuming you've seen the Guardian piece, which reports that First, just as a question, is it correct, the Guardian reports, that none of the permanent 5 members of the Security Council have agreed to the $40 million leave behind of funds from the mission to deal with the cholera that the UN brought to Haiti? And is it true, as the Guardian reports, that the UN Haiti Cholera Multi-Partner Trust Fund, which gathered $2 million, quote, now lies almost empty? How much is in there? How much has been raised?
I think
and how does it square
where
with
was
what he said?
clear and what we've said in terms of funding the initiatives, we encouraged and we asked governments to give whatever balances they were towards the appeal, the leftover money from the peacekeeping mission. As far as I understand it, there was no formal agreement to just move over the remnants of what was left in the mission budget to the new appeal. Since, if you look back to 2010, I think the international community has spent almost $680 million on to combat the spread of cholera in Haiti. As we've announced from here, the Secretary General's new approach builds on our recognition to improve our response, and obviously the reflection and the regret, as well as the moral responsibility, on our continued commitment to the elimination of Haiti. As for the exact number, the exact cash number in the multi-partner trust fund, we can get you that figure. We obviously would like to see it funded at a greater rate. And I think part of the Deputy Secretary General's trip is to obviously for her to see firsthand what has been going on and to bring attention to the issue.
Please, if you can, however you choose to put it out, that number. But also, I mean, since you've spoken for both the previous Secretary General and this one, what would you say to an analysis that says that, in a way, 6 years of denial of responsibility results in a situation where the member states now being asked for money don't feel the urgency they might have felt earlier in the process? Do you see any connection between that?
I think that's a question to ask member states. I think, we've recognized. I think what went. We've recognized that things did not go well, to put it mildly, in Haiti. Our need to do better. We're sort of asking for a second chance, I think, to prove our worth. I think the Secretary General laid out a pretty detailed plan in terms of a two-track approach, and our long-term commitment to the people of Haiti, and to bring some solace to those communities that were the hardest hit, and just as important, I think, on the first track, to ensure that Haiti has the health system, the sanitation system, to ensure that that an outbreak like we'd seen in the past cannot occur again.
Second chance.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I want to ask about the UN response to the bubonic plague and the pneumonic disease that is spreading in Madagascar, Indian Ocean, Seychelles, and is expected to make landfall somehow in Africa, the east of Africa. Is the situation under control?
I'm not able to characterize whether or not the situation is under control or not. This is an issue that we've been talking about for some time. Obviously, I think the spread of such a deadly disease, especially in a country that already has a pretty fragile health system, is of great concern. The UN team on the ground is mobilized, and if I'm not mistaken, we've launched a financial appeal to help stem the flow. But it is something that we are watching, especially our colleagues at the World Health Organization are watching extremely closely. Yes, sir.
Sure. A couple of things. On Kenya, I was told last week by Farhan, that Rosalind Akambe is on leave till the end of the year, and I'd asked whether Ambassador Kamau had somehow démarched the Secretary General about her role on the IACB things that she said. I'm asking you now because I see an interview in The Nation of Kenya quoting Rosalind Akambe as, "Yes, I'm back at my old job, but I'm prevented from talking to the press. This was contained in the new contract I signed recently," she said via phone. Maybe they talked to the wrong Rosalind Akambe, or maybe I'm talking to the wrong spokesman, but did she get her job back? I mean,
that would be, I can't vouch for the veracity of the quotes, but that's not the information I have. But I'd be happy to look at what The Nation says.
Sure, and in this because it's Journalism Day, and I know this is
every day is Journalism Day here.
Great. So, all right.
Every
So,
noon is journalism.
All right.
Day.
I'd asked you yesterday about Cameroon locking up journalists, but I actually want to ask you something a little closer to home. And if you just bear with me, I wanted to ask you because it bears on. If you want to read something out,
No,
I don't want you to be.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
It's my lunch menu.
So I want to ask you, one, if it's appropriate, and two, what the 38th floor role is in this. And the thing that I'm asking about is a statement made by Cameroon's permanent representative to me at the stakeout, at the Security Council stakeout, so in a public area with, et cetera, that saying, on 38, who asked you to be up there? I'm going to make a call to make sure Matthew is not up there anymore. You ask nasty questions. So my question to you is, if a member state, in this case a member state that is subject to questions, nasty or not, were to call the 38th floor and say, I want a particular media to not be up there, why are they up there?
No.
What would be the response by the 38th floor? And I ask because I've gotten an accreditation for being up there. That's why.
Well, I think you're mixing.
strange.
You know, if an event is open to the press, to the wide press, then everybody is welcome. We're not. Journalists here have to do their job. There are obviously restrictions placed depending on the event, but I guess the answer would be no. Thank you.
So this would be inappropriate, what was said.
Thank you.